And we are officially live, broadcasting only on onedealaway.com. Good morning, my name is Nev, and this is Money Matters, where we broadcast live every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, only on onedealaway.com. I do want to welcome everybody watching this live. Good morning and welcome. Happy Monday to you. And everybody who is watching this on YouTube, as we always place a replay on YouTube, welcome as well. If you are new to the channel and you are not watching this live, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and feel free to join us tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. only on onedealaway.com/live. All right, so it's Monday today. Of course, it's Monday, and we have all kinds of interesting news. So we're going to be breaking down the executive order and we have some news, as I promised that I would have some of the stuff for you and what's going on with that piece. So we're going to be basically looking at that stuff. We're also going to look a little bit at the consumer debt and what's been happening in that neck of the woods, just to understand where we are and what's going on. So we're going to be looking at a bit bigger picture this morning. So this is going to be slightly on the shorter side of things show, but it's going to be nonetheless fully packed with information. So let's do this. And good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's get started by taking a look at a market, right? So let's do one thing, right? One thing at a time, as they say. So here we go. We're gonna take a look at the market and what's been going on. So we are looking at S&P 500, and as you can see, I have a 6-month, and we are, up. We are up. It's been going up. 5-day this last week, as you can see, it has definitely, sideways up, sideways up. So it's definitely moving on up, and it's a very, very bizarro world. But again, we've called the bizarro world months ago at this point, so I don't know why I am still surprised. Dow Jones Industrial, 6 months, we are actually down. But overall, it's been going up. It's been going up, actually, as you can see last week again. Monday and Tuesday was a clear uppish days. We had a big old bump on Wednesday and going nicely on up over the last 3 days of last week. So it's doing incredibly well. Nasdaq is up. It's been up for forever, right? And you can see a little bit different. So very much a steady-ish climb on up. Friday we actually had a very good very, very good day, and then it started to tumble when the market opened officially. Or actually, mid morning. My apologies, and then it went down, sort of up. So again, it'll be an interesting market for sure. And before we close there, you can actually see right up here that S&P futures is up. Dow futures is up. Nasdaq futures, it's actually trading sort of downish, not a huge down, but slightly downish. Russell future is up. Crude oil up. Gold is up. Everything is up. Silver is up. Euro USD not so up. 10-year-old bond basically unchanged. There's not much happening. VIX is up. British pound USD down. USD Japan is up. So you just got to pay attention to which one is where. Bitcoin is kind of up. Oh, it looks like a bar chart, a smaller version of it, but you see it goes sideways, up, sideways, down, and then it continues trading. So up, but not by much. CMC Crypto 200, which I'm going to assume it's I don't know much about this product. FTSE 100 is up. Everything is up. Nikkei is down. So what is CMC Crypto? I don't know much about that. So it's an index. Okay, it's an index, NASDAQ, that follows a currency. So A derivative of a derivative of a derivative. Good God. Does nobody hold assets anymore? Like, the things? Clearly not. Clearly not. I am too old, obviously, these days. All right, let's take a look. Gold spot price is 20.30. Silver is at 28.30, and silver gold ratio is basically touched 16, 69 and a half. We're 71.7. So, pretty much not much has changed since we looked at it. Now we gotta go into the news and talk about stuff. So you've heard that there's this executive order and that has been brought up and stuff, and I think it's important for us to take a look at that stuff. So while we are going to actually go in and learn more about it, and we're going to read about stuff, so CNN actually has the executive action kind of what's going on, and so instead of me reading to you of what's going on, what it means, I figured I'm going to let my Erica Hill from CNN tell us all about it. And, I'm sure that they're going to have some political twist to the whole thing. So, but I just want to know what actually was said. So here we go. Let's do this.
President Trump putting his name on several executive orders just a short time ago aimed at helping millions of Americans who have been plunged into financial trouble by the coronavirus pandemic. It was part signing ceremony, part campaign rally. It happened at his New Jersey golf resort. The president railing against China, congressional Democrats, and his presumptive opponent for the White House, Joe Biden. Also accusing Democrats of steering pandemic relief money into political projects and trying, in the president's words, to, quote, steal the election. Well, as for the actual executive orders the president signed, they target the sticky issue of enhanced unemployment benefits at a dollar amount that Democrats and Republicans couldn't agree upon. The three other orders are designed to take the pressure off of Americans who are dealing with the financial impact, which is now, of course, this pandemic now entering its sixth month. I want to bring in now CNN's Kristen Holmes and fact checker Daniel Dale. Kristen, you were at that press conference. There was a lot of politicking. There was a lot of campaign rallying. Talk to us about the substance, though, of these executive orders signed by the president.
Well, Erica, there were 4 executive orders, and I'm going to start with the most straightforward, and then we can kind of get into the weeds on the other 2. He deferred student loan debts, which will be a big deal, and he also extended that eviction moratorium through executive order. So both of those are very substantial, and that will help a lot of people. Now, the other 2 are a little bit more complex. He had a payroll tax holiday for Americans earning less than $100,000 a year, but it's incredibly convoluted and hard to understand exactly how it's going to work. President Trump said this was going to go back in time, so it's going to actually start in August, retroactive, and go through December. It's unclear whether or not people are going to have to pay this back. President Trump essentially said that if he is elected into office, that he will dissolve them having to pay this back. But there's still a big question there as to what exactly that means. The other one, it was this $400 in enhanced unemployment benefits. The reason why this is a little bit complex and convoluted is that it's actually only $300 of federal money. They are asking the states to pay 25%, so that extra $100. And I have to tell you, I got off the phone with one state official immediately after this announcement who laughed when I told him about the announcement and said, we just don't have that money. We've been asking for federal help now. And of course, this is something we have heard from many states, that they need federal assistance. Remember, that's one of the big sticking points here. Democrats asking for that assistance for state and local government. So it's unclear whether or not, or which states are going to be able to actually pay that extra $100, Erica.
Oh no, I've been talking to Storm and I was muted. I am so sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Oh my gosh. Anyways, what I was saying is, there we go. So we understand that we have 4 different executive orders that were signed, and they all sound quite lovely, right? The eviction moratorium sounds really lovely for those that are about to be evicted. However, for the landlords who are looking to basically re-rent that place and collect the money so that they can actually get out of forbearance and pay the rent, pay their mortgages, and basically feed themselves, they find themselves now short squeezed. So there could be problems happening over there on that side of things. And I know that there is forbearance and stuff, but the difference is, when you don't pay a rent and you get evicted and you're brokered and broke, there's nothing that can be taken away from you. When you own a property and you go into forbearance and you don't get all this money and nobody pays you back for what is being owed, but you owe what you owe back with interest potentially, that is a huge problem because you can't pay it. So now you lose what you own. And so, in my humble opinion, I believe that while, yes, I think that everybody is sort of struggling, that needs to be fixed, there is a huge problem for individuals who actually own buildings, who have tenants in them, and they can't evict them now because it's a ban is put on that piece. So I think that that's going to be a very interesting and very, very sticky situation. A lot of these moves of what we're seeing right now and what we're going to be seeing in the upcoming months are going to be highly political moves, the moves that are going to get you the most votes, not necessarily moves that are going to do the most good. The second piece is, right, the extending of the non-payment of the loans. I think that was a move. Obviously, it was quite lovely, but it was a move to get the younger audience to vote. That's part of it. I think. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. But that one is also problematic because you're just deferring the payment. If you wanted to do any good whatsoever for anybody, you just wipe it out, right? But we're not wiping anything. We're just deferring it. And now all of that stuff is accruing and accumulating and making things look much prettier. Then you have the state stuff, and the states are saying, we can't pay this. So now the problem comes in that the executive order says you will get this. People get excited. It comes to the state. You knock on the state's door. State says, we're broke. We actually asked the federal government for money, and they told us no. So it's kind of like a good cop, bad cop, or mom and dad syndrome, or however you want to call it, where one gives you one thing, but it actually limits to what you can be done because of the other person inability to deliver. So that's going to be a huge fiasco and a conundrum, of course, to be solved yet. And then finally, we have the whole what do we have? Hold on. We had a payroll stuff, right? We talked about the $400. We talked about the eviction. Oh, and the payroll. The payroll, that's the one. That one is interesting as well. That one is also I would say, political move, especially because it says, well, you don't have to do it right now, and that's it until December. But then what, right? Is that payable? Is it not payable? Do you risk it? So it's a hot mess. It's a hot political mess, and I expect this to be happening for a very, very, very long time. And talking about the hot mess and stuff, here we do actually have a report that we're gonna go through and look at together. And so with all of the stuff that is happening, everybody's questioning the executive orders. But the big question comes that I've had, that I'm glad somebody else is having, is who will challenge him? I mean, who is bold enough to challenge? Because you challenge, you might be right, but you're going to lose on votes. So are you willing to do that? Anyways, let's read. Trump did just as we expected, with the Congress squabbling over the details and unable to bridge a $2 trillion gap between the HEALS and HERO Act. And you've likely seen this drawing over here because I've seen it on multiple different websites. He gave himself permission to trigger the next fiscal stimulus in what now appears to be a never-ending series of helicopter money. Trump having effectively trampled over any leverage the Democrats had to collapse the economy ahead of elections by withholding money from tens of millions of unemployed workers. The president now faces a barrage of lawsuits from furious Democrats and liberal advocacy groups. And of course, everybody's angry that he did this potentially. With the stroke of a pen, literally, Trump wrested core powers away from Congress after weeks of discussion over a second pandemic rescue package and stalled on Friday. But remember, they're going away. They're going away for a month, and he was like, "Forget this, man. I'm doing it." I mean, you gotta give it to the guy. When sometimes you just get tired of the red tape, and you're like, "Screw it, I'm doing this." So I think that that's exactly what happened here. The president and director are likely to get tied up in litigation over whether they violate core. Hold on. No. What are you doing? What are you doing? You click on one thing, y'all, and the whole thing collapses. Sorry about that. I've been having all kinds of technical difficulties over the last 3 days. Anyways, the president's directors are likely to get tied up in litigation over whether they violate constitutional principles like the separation of powers. A key question is, who will sue? While they have criticized the orders as insufficient and impractical, congressional Democrats may view it as a politically risky to block payments to the Americans in distress. It puts the administration in a different position than what they've been used to. It's smart politics. But states that plan to use pandemic relief funds to purposes other than unemployment payments might refuse to comply with Trump's directive, potentially setting up a legal battle. I guess maybe it will bring legal action, but they won't win. That's what Trump told reporters when they asked him. He was like, "Yep, I understand it could potentially be illegal, but whatever, I'm doing it anyways." So you got to give it to the guy. I don't know how you feel about the whole thing. Let me know in the chat. I'm not, one way or the other, but you got to love when somebody's so bold and so ballsy to do something like this. One group that will surely sue the administration are landlords, as one of the orders Trump issued appears to give federal housing officials broad discretion to prevent eviction. Every legal aid lawyer in the country faced with destitute client being evicted will slap this executive order on the judge's table and say there should not be any eviction, said Charles Steve, a law professor at the University of Baltimore. And their landlords who have federally insured mortgages will argue back that it would be illegal for evictions to be halted. So it's going to be an interesting piece for sure. The president said he would defer payroll tax from September through December for people making less than $100,000 a year, a proposal that met bipartisan opposition in Congress because it could endanger funding for Social Security and Medicare. By the way, in case you're wondering, for everybody over at Congress on either side of the spectrum of everybody watching this, Social Security and Medicare were endangered when they started. I mean, for my generation, these puppies are not going to exist, regardless of what happens with the payroll tax. So if this helps us actually keep more people employed and gets us more people to come and work, heck yeah, I'm all for it. I could be wrong. Again, let me know what you think in the chat, in the comment section, because, this is just one guy's opinion right over here. But I am curious, very, very curious to learn what your opinion on the whole matter might be. So that's just kind of how I take it. And, whether the money goes in or not, the amount of people that is about to go and retire and the amount of people that is out of work, I mean, you could tax everybody else working to death, meaning take all of their money, and we still wouldn't have enough money in these programs. So that's just my 2 cents. Trump may have better luck defending the fourth of his executive actions, namely student loan relief. Existing federal statutes allow the Secretary of Education to temporarily delay loan payments during periods of economic hardship. So there you go. He might not get sued for the student loans, and I think that the individuals who have student loans will likely actually enjoy this the fact that this has been passed and has been talked about. Now, another problem that we have is what's going on with the payment and the consumer debt. If you can't make the payment on your mortgage, auto loan, credit card debt, or student loan, just ask for a deferral or forbearance and you won't have to make a payment, and the loan won't count as delinquent even if it was delinquent before. This is an interesting component that is happening right now, and while it's helping potentially a person in the moment right now that is having to deal with this stuff, what it's doing is on the long end, it's really kicking the proverbial can, because I don't know how else to put it, down the road. What it's also doing, it's muddling the waters for us to be able to read the economic data, and it's screwing up everything to be able to very accurately predict as to what mess could happen in the near future. When you're able to look at the charts, and we're going to actually look at the charts in a moment. Here's one of the first one, right? You were able to look at this stuff and kind of see how it's going and be able to measure what's going on in 07, 08, 09. You're like, all right, I see where this is going. I can measure it. But then, boom, everything went into forbearance, and it's almost like all of the data, all of the information went dark, which makes it impossible to try to predict where we might go potentially. So here we go. Let's read. We've already covered this stuff. So student loan borrowers were automatically rolled into forbearance under the CARES Act, and even though many students had stopped making payments, delinquency rates plunged because the Department of Education had decided to report as current all those loans that are in forbearance, even if they were delinquent. And here it is, all of the stuff just gone, wiped out completely off of the face of the earth. The New York Fed said 88% of student loan borrowers, including private loan borrowers and federal family education loan borrowers, had a scheduled payment of $0, meaning that at least 88% of student loans were in some form of forbearance, meaning nobody is paying into that stuff, but those payments will come due. When that expires, it will come due. And of course, we do have that executive order that just is extending on that thing, but again, it's just stretching the problem further than anything else. The other piece that is also happening is that what is being owned is typically added to the principal, basically making this thing balloon out of proportion, and it's only going to make matters worse. And what is worse out of the whole student loan a hot mess conundrum is you can't default on this thing. You can't. I mean, unless some sort of new executive order, which seems to be the new normal, comes out. You can't default on this stuff. It follows you to death, and then when you die, it follows you onto your people that have sort of your heirs, as they call it. So it's highly problematic and troublematic. Number of a household loan balance deemed current. As you can see, when we hit the financial crisis right over here, we went down and stuff. Now we hit it harder than anything else, but because of all of this magical, everything is forgiven, everything is current, we are doing better than ever on paper, so to speak. About 21 of auto loan customers were enrolled in the deferral program when they don't have to make up payments for 120 days. About 5.9% of the $1.3 trillion in auto loans, so close to $80 billion, are in forbearance. During the last crisis, the delinquent balances were above 10% for nearly 2 years. Now, we are maybe 6% now. Whereas we probably should be off the chart right now. You can see it right here. Crazy. Mortgages. $730 billion in mortgages are in forbearance, and the payments that are being deferred about $6 billion a month. Now, mortgages had been 30 to 60 days delinquent or cured at a record pace. They were brought to current not because borrowers made catch-up payments, but because these mortgages were modified and rolled into forbearance, and thus were once again deemed current and thus cured. That is a magic of new finance. This is what I call creative finance at its finest, where you actually go in, the new law comes in, you haven't been paying, you haven't been current, but now a simple thing as click a button, make a phone call and say, I need to get into this forbearance thing. Everything is wiped off, everything is set clear, and you are able to do that. And check out what happens next. 30% a percent of 30 to 60% 30 to 60 day percent. Let's try this again. Percent of 30 to 60 day late mortgage newly cured. And look at this thing. It was going down. Look, this is what was happening in financial. It's supposed to happen that way, but because all of the laws, everything is up and forgiven. So now the number of consumers with the third party collection, boom, down. Everything is stopped when it comes to this magical credit bubble ball thing happening, where everything is forgotten, forgiven. Well, I don't know that it's forgotten or forgiven, but it's paused. It's definitely paused right now, and it's not happening anytime soon. The missed interest payments are added to the principal balance of the loan, and the burden of those debts grows. Okay, and it's not like consumers are putting, so this is the big part of the risk, right? So nobody's paying anything, nobody's rolling anything. The banks are still keeping it on books as they're getting paid, so their investors are getting the reports of like, hey, they're getting paid, we're cool to go with it. So like everything is going to party. It's kind of like you know we are running out of drinks at a party, and we're starting to mix like random stuff just to keep the party going. So that's kind of where we are right now, y'all. And the crazy part is that all of this like monetary stimulus, fiscal stimulus, stimulus, it's not doing much of anything, and everybody thinks that we're going to go back to normal, but we're not. People are not going back to normal. Even in the states that are reopening, that have reopened and haven't re-shut down, people are not going out as much. Sure, some people are, but when you go around and see things like the roads are still on the emptier side of things. I mean, they're much fuller than they were during the complete shutdown. I will admit to that piece. But the restaurants, it's not happening. The stores, it's not happening. People going around and doing stuff, it's not happening. People are still very much sitting down and sitting at home all over the place, especially the elderly. They're not going out there. We still can't travel, so that piece is down the drain. And a few occasional cruise liners that have decided, hey, we got to test it out, and a few brave souls, we get reports that they're all like basically sick. So it's not happening, and I think more and more people of the elder population are quitting their jobs, moving away. So I just don't see this going anywhere but down and crashing in some sort of magnificent form in a short little while. And it's not like consumers are putting this money not to spend on debt payments into savings accounts or to use for the required future debt payments or investing potentially so that they can do it. They are actually spending this money and it's gone. And this is what's keeping the economy going right now. The fact that they are actually spending the money right now that should be going towards paying for that car, paying for that mortgage, paying for that rent, paying for the stuff. They're going out there and they're installing a brand new, sound systems into their car, which I would say is stupid, but then again, to each their own, right? They're buying new sneakers and clothes and, ordering food and that kind of stuff, right? That's what's going on. That's what people are doing. And that's what's keeping whatever little bit of the economy is left running. When this ends, and it will end because it has to end at some point, right? We're going to see a massive crash. And so I think everybody's going to keep the party going for at least until November. So we still have the rest of the August, September, October, November. So we still have 4 months of this craziness going on before some major events start rolling out. And how major, in what direction, well, that's anybody's guess. And it really, a lot of the stuff is going to be very, very politicized for next 3.5, 4 months until the election is completed. And even the election, nobody freaking knows what that is going to look like. What kind of hot mess is that going to be, right? Is it going to be mail-in ballot, go-in ballot, scream from your, window of who you vote or don't vote for, mail your pigeon over to the DC. I don't know what it's going to look like. So that alone is a hot mess that is happening. So, like I said, we are experiencing hot mess, and we're not the only ones. This is happening all over the world, all over the place. And when the programs end, when all of this stuff ends, my question is, what then? What happens then? And then is the part that actually scares me the most, and then is the part that I think is going to harm a lot of people very, very fast and very quickly. And that's the sort of scary piece for me personally. So there you go. That's kind of what ends the day. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor and hit the smash button. Hit the smash button. Smash the like or hit the like button, or you could hit the smash, I guess. And thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.